Patriots fans, buckle up because this is not just another sleepy offseason update. This is the kind of stretch where the clues start stacking up, the smoke starts swirling, and suddenly you can feel something building in Foxborough. Not hype for the sake of hype, not random headline chasing. I'm talking about the Patriots trying to shape an identity right in front of us. And if you've been paying attention, you can already see the outline. Tougher up front, more dangerous around Drake May, and way more intentional about the kind of locker room they want to build. That is why this whole thing feels different. This doesn't feel like a team making cosmetic moves. This feels like a team trying to lay down a foundation that can actually scare people again. And let's be real, it starts with the pass rush, because that issue is impossible to ignore. 35 sacks last season. 35! That is not the number of a defense that plans to close games, wreck protections, and make life miserable for elite quarterbacks in January. That is the number of a unit still missing bite. They lost K'Lavon Chaisson, they added Draymond Jones, and sure, that helps, but does that really make you sit back and say, yeah, now this group is complete? No way, not even close. This front still needs juice. It still needs a guy offenses actually worry about. It still needs someone who can tilt a series, blow up a pocket, and force an offense to start cheating protections before the ball is even snapped. That is exactly why the Cassius Howell conversation is getting attention. Joel Klatt mocked the Texas A&M edge rusher to New England at 31, and let's be smart about it. That is not a report. It is not a leak. It is not some done deal. But you know what it is? It is a football thought that actually makes sense. And when a draft idea starts making sense for the player, the scheme, and the culture, Patriots fans should absolutely lean in, because Howell checks boxes that matter. He has production, he has edge, he has the kind of backfield disruption that shows up on tape and keeps showing up. 25 sacks over the last 3 seasons, 33 tackles for loss. That is not fake noise. That is not a combine darling with one pretty workout and no resume. That is a player who has actually gone out there and made quarterbacks miserable. Now yes, the arm-length criticism is real, and you already know how this goes. Draft season turns into a laboratory. Everybody wants to measure, compare, nitpick, and overthink. Howell's arms are short for the position. Fine, that's part of the evaluation. But let me ask you something. How many times have we seen teams get seduced by traits and ignore the guy who just flat out knows how to play? How many times have we watched production get downgraded because someone didn't look perfect getting off the bus? Patriots fans of all fan bases should understand this better than anybody. New England has never been about winning the All-Airport Team award. This franchise, at its best, has always been about fit, toughness, instincts, discipline, and guys who actually show up when the play starts. So if other teams get nervous because the measurements are a little weird, and the Patriots look at Howell and see a football player who lives in the backfield, that could be one of those moves that looks smarter and smarter the longer you sit with it. And what makes it even more interesting is the mindset. Howell basically said production has never been his problem, and he's going to do everything in his power to kill that narrative. That matters. That does not guarantee a thing, but it matters. Why? Because if Mike Vrabel is really trying to reshape the tone of this roster, he is going to be drawn to guys with edge, guys with a chip on their shoulder, guys who do not sound intimidated by criticism, guys who sound like they want to fight their way into the building and then fight to stay on the field. That is Patriots football DNA. That is the kind of attitude fans in New England can get behind in a hurry. But here's where this gets really interesting. Because what if the Patriots don't stop at the draft? What if they know they need more than one answer? And honestly, they should. Asking one rookie, no matter how intriguing, to fix the entire pass rush would be reckless. That is why the veteran edge rusher angle feels so important. When names like Joey Bosa, Hassan Reddick, Cameron Jordan, and Kyle Van Noy start floating around, the first reaction from some fans is always the same. Yeah, but is that exciting enough? And I get it. Fans love splash. Fans want the big reveal, the shiny move, the jersey-selling headline. But football is not won in a graphics package. Football is won by stacking smart decisions, by building rooms with real depth, and by making sure your young players are not thrown into chaos before they are ready. Think about how much sense the double-dip approach would make. Draft the young rusher, add the proven vet. Suddenly the room looks deeper, steadier, more flexible. Suddenly you are not asking a rookie to carry the emotional weight and the pressure of fixing everything on day one. Suddenly you have experience, mentorship, insurance, and rotational value. That is how you build a defensive front that can survive a full season and actually peak when the games matter most. And if Vrabel is as serious about reestablishing a hard-nosed defensive identity as he sounds, then that kind of move move is not just logical, it is almost necessary. So tell me this, if the Patriots make the rookie move and the veteran move, does that not instantly change the vibe of this defense? Does that not make the whole unit feel more dangerous, more grown up, more ready to hunt? And while everybody is focused on the defense, the offense still has a giant flashing sign hanging over it. Get Drake May more help. Real help. Not theoretical help. Not, maybe this guy takes a leap help. Actual, legitimate, game-changing support. That is why the Jordan Addison conversation is so fascinating, because everybody keeps circling A.J. Brown, and sure, I understand it. Dream scenario, massive name, huge upside. But the NFL does not care about your dream board. Sometimes the move you want is not the move that materializes. So smart teams keep scanning the horizon. And if Minnesota gets uncomfortable with a Jordan Addison extension because of off-field concerns, then all of a sudden you have a situation worth monitoring. Now let's be disciplined here. This is not a report that a trade is happening. This is not confirmation that the Patriots are about to swoop in. But it is the kind of scenario teams absolutely explore. Addison is young. He has been productive. He has real ability. He can add speed, route running juice, and another level of stress for opposing defenses. And if you're New England, you have to at least ask yourself the hard question. Are we willing to bet on talent if it means giving Drake May a real running mate? Because that is the balance here. There is upside, and there is risk. There is talent, and there are concerns. There is the excitement of imagining what he could bring to the offense, and there is the responsibility of asking whether that kind of move fits the culture you are trying to build. That is why this is not a simple yes or no debate. It is really a test of how much the Patriots believe in the structure they are putting in place. If the locker room is strong enough, if the leadership is real enough, if the standards are clear enough, then maybe you feel more comfortable taking on a talented player with some questions attached. And if not, you back away. But one thing they cannot do is sit frozen, waiting for one perfect option while the market keeps moving. You cannot put every egg in the A.J. Brown basket and then act shocked if the whole plan stalls out. Good organizations pressure every angle. They look under every rock. They work every possible lane. That is how you find value. That is how you build optionality. That is how you avoid ending up desperate. And this is where the Milton Williams part of the story becomes so important. Because to me, that may be the thread tying all of this together. Leadership. Real leadership. Not fake rah-rah stuff. Not social media leadership. Not empty quotes made for a headline. Real, daily, gritty, lead by example leadership. Williams stepping into that conversation and basically saying, I'm not the loudest guy, but I show up, I work, and I set the tone. Sounds exactly like the kind of message this team needs, especially after losing a strong emotional presence like Stefon Diggs. Somebody has to keep the standard alive. Somebody has to make sure the building has a heartbeat. Somebody has to remind everyone that talent is only part of the equation. And listen to what Williams was really saying. Show up every day ready to work, ready to build, ready to earn what comes next. That is not accidental language. That is a blueprint. That is culture talk. That is a veteran trying to put a young team on the right track. And when he mentions younger players and even veterans asking him what it takes to get to the playoffs, what it takes to get to the Super Bowl, what it takes to win, that tells you this roster is listening. This roster is hungry. This roster knows it is chasing something bigger than just looking respectable. That matters, because if you are about to add a rookie pass rusher, maybe a veteran edge, maybe another receiver with some real pop, then you better have the right voices in the room to hold that whole thing together. So when you step back and really look at the full picture, it starts to feel pretty compelling. The Patriots are not just crossing items off a list. They are trying to attack one of their biggest defensive weaknesses. They are trying to create flexibility with veteran options. They are still searching for a difference maker who can help elevate Drake May. And they are trying to strengthen the culture at the same time, so the talent actually has something solid to land on. That is how real turnarounds start. Not with one magic move, not with one headline, with layers, with alignment, with urgency, with a plan. Does any of this guarantee they are suddenly going to become a powerhouse? Of course not. Nobody is handing out trophies in March. Nobody is hanging banners because a mock draft made sense and a few names are floating in free agency. But if you are asking whether this feels like direction, whether this feels like intention, whether this feels like a franchise trying to become dangerous again, then yeah, it absolutely does. And if the next couple of moves break the right way, do not be surprised if the rest of the league starts looking up and realizing New England is not just trying to survive. New England is trying to matter again. Big time. So now I'm asking you, What is the one move that has to happen next? Is it finding that edge rusher who can finally wake up the pass rush? Is it adding a veteran hunter to complete the room? Is it going out and getting Drake May another weapon no matter what it takes? Or is the biggest key of all making sure this locker room gets the right leaders and the right identity before anything else? Drop your take in the comments, fire off your hottest opinion, send this to another Pats fan, and let's get loud about it because the energy in Foxborough is changing. The clues are everywhere, and if these pieces start clicking into place, this thing could snowball into something a whole lot bigger than people are ready for.